You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line, and we got a new caller, which is always a good thing. A little confused on how this is going to work, but let's try it.
Hey, first-time caller here, Aaron from Ontario, Canada.
So,
let's
just go to part two, because I think that call got a little mixed up. This is Aaron from Ontario, was it? Yeah, Ontario. What's up, dude?
Hey, Aaron here from Ontario, Canada. First-time caller. I hate to be that horse, but just talking about Rich Bisacchia. I don't know how I feel about him. I mean, do I think he's the worst person in the world? No.
Probably a good dude.
Do I think he's part of the problem with special teams? Yes. He doesn't warrant his $2 million salary, especially since Halfley, who did amazing with that defense, makes like a quarter of that, or did make a quarter of that. But, I mean, Green Bay's special teams woes have gone back for so long that, like, I mean, what's the last time the Packers had a kick return for a touchdown? Keyshawn Nixon 3 years ago. Before that, it was, I don't even know, it happens like about once a decade.
Yeah.
The Packers get a kick return for a touchdown. Punt returns, I think it was, last one was like 2014 Micah Hyde when he went off, and that's like so long ago. So, I mean, does he warrant all the hate? Maybe, because they have long been a bad special teams team and always seem to be in a drought. But when it comes to special teams problems, does that scheming from the special teams coordinator, is that just player personnel because they use all their draft picks on offensive, defensive players and they kind of need the bargain bin for all the special teamers? Is it on the coach? Is it on the head coach? Like, realistically, who takes the blame for a lot of these problems, and who should take the blame for a lot of these problems? Anyways, I hope you have a good pod. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, appreciate the call, dude. And there's another one right after this, but I've heard, I forgot who it was. I never actually got to it. Somebody on ESPN something or another, Madison or Milwaukee, I don't know. But it was, the argument was made. It was kind of an odd one, but something to the effect of, I don't think Bisacchia should go, and I'm not saying this is what you're saying, but just to kind of piggyback off of this. Because, what's the point? Our special teams issues go back a long way. Yeah, they do. That doesn't mean that Rich Bisacchia shouldn't be held accountable for this. If you look at, as an example, the Minnesota Vikings have not been able to quite figure out the drafting of a corner. That had been us for a long time before Jair, so I'll use the Vikings as an example. Or the Seahawks with offensive line, or whatever the case. Does that mean you don't draft offensive line or you don't draft corner? Because what's the point? No, and it doesn't necessarily point to some kind of a systemic problem or anything like that. I don't think that I've really seen evidence of that. Again, we went out and got Rich Bisacchia, who wanted Keyshawn Nixon, and we brought in Keyshawn Nixon for special teams. We brought in Eric Wilson, who is a fantastic special teamer. Zane Anderson is specifically here for special teams. There's a lot of guys. Look at what we've done as far as kickers, punters, and long snappers. In fact, Gutekunst was absolutely shredded to pieces for drafting special teamers. So I don't think it's a team flaw. I don't think it's because they're cheap, because they're not. There's really no evidence of that. Again, the only evidence of that was the one thing that turned out to be not quite true. And even if that story was true, Bisacchia flies right in the face of that by going out and getting the top guy on the market at the time to try to fix this issue. The team seems to be taking this very seriously and is willing to put in whatever resources. And the fact of the matter is, from my perspective, they put in a lot of resources to get Rich Bisacchia. They put in a lot of resources to surround Rich Bisacchia with the pieces that he asked to be surrounded with. And we are not where we need to be as a result. So, yes, these problems go back a long way over multiple special teams coordinators, and the Packers haven't been able to figure it out yet. What do? You keep trying. You keep trying until you get it right. That's going to happen. What do you do if you're a team that hasn't had a quarterback yet, like the Bears or the Browns or whatever, where you're just in this quarterback drought? What you do is you draft another quarterback. That's what you do. That one sucked. All right, you got to get another one. That one sucked. All right, got to get another one. And you do that until you get the guy. And that's the way I'm viewing the special teams thing. We and it's not like we've been through 100 different special teams coordinators. Going back to, obviously we had great special teams in the 90s. So if we say from 2000 to now, that's 25 years. How many special teams coordinators have we had? 5 or 6 or something? I don't know. It's not some statistical anomaly that is inexplainable through just not quite finding the right coaches. And it's also possible that interspersed throughout that have been teams that didn't prioritize special teams, because I know that that's been the case. We've seen that with Mike McCarthy, when he didn't really prioritize it until it was a disaster, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to start going to the meetings, and they started taking it more seriously. There have been different periods of how seriously they take it, and I'm sure the less serious times have caused issues. This is one of those times where they put a lot of effort into it, and the effort they put in did not work. Okay, well, that sucks. Keep trying, I guess. Again, that's my perspective. A lot of other people want to come up with different theories that it's hopeless. What's the point? All this kind of nihilistic stuff. I don't see a reason for that. We have expectations. Rich Bisacchia did not meet those expectations. Sorry, it's time to find somebody else. Now, apparently we're not going to do that, but, again, that is my perspective on that.
It's Aaron again. I forgot to finish off my previous point. I left the conversation a little early.
No problem.
I also want to say that, because the special teams wars have been going on for so long, is it a matter of, you can't say it's GM, you can't say it's owner.
Sure.
You can't say it's coach, because it's been going on for more coaches, GMs, and owners than
you could blame.
It's been decades of special teams gaffes, from Bostic in Seattle to Dobbs here to just field goals. And I guess only having 10 men on the field for the San Francisco game, that's maybe a coaching problem. But at the same time, it's like, whose problem is this really? Who's this rest on? You can't just it's always easy to just blame the coordinator. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's always blame the coordinator, just because that's just the nature of the business. That's just how it is. But does it go deeper than that? Like I said, if the GM isn't signing good special teams players, or even decent ones that knows how it works, then, in the end, that's also on the GM and the coach for not figuring that out and always running into problems. Yeah, as much as Bisacchia can be the problem, he also, for his $2 million salary, he also has a track record of, he took Vegas to the playoffs a few years ago, I think when they were, first full year in Vegas as an interim head coach. So it's he has the experience of head coach. He's been in the league a long, long time. So it's, the kicking's been a problem since Crosby left, really, and everyone praised him when McManus came, because they're like, wow, McManus did so good last year, and all of a sudden now McManus wasn't great this year, and everybody's like, it must be Bisacchia. He's found good punters over look at Whelan. He had an amazing year. Even before that, when they had J.K. Scott, who's with the Chargers now, he had a good year. He seems to have this weird thing with being good at finding punters, maybe, but yeah. Every coach has got their cons and their pros, but I think this goes deeper than Bisacchia. I think this is a systematic problem with starting from the top down. Anyways, have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, and to that point, again, this is kind of a common theory among a lot of different people. It's entirely possible. I don't super buy it just because it's kind of more of a theory without evidence other than just I forget what we already talked about it. I'm not going to look it up, but it's kind of the evidence is kind of like there's a fish there because the ripples in the water kind of thing. I don't know. If we're going to say that, I mean, to your point, if we can't really blame Gut directly because this predates him. We can't blame LaFleur directly because this predates him. If we are going to say this is a systemic thing, then this is organizational in terms of this is the playbook written by Ron Wolf or something. You know what I mean? That would be the only way for this sort of theory to kind of hold up on its own merits, which, in my opinion, makes it a little bit harder to defend, I guess, because you can't just say it would be easier, I think, if it was like, well, Gutekunst just has a thing or whatever, or Matt LaFleur has a thing, or by the way, we could blame Bisacchia, but whatever. If we were going with that, it would have to be somewhere in the playbook that you as a front office person, and this goes from Murphy to policy to Ted Thompson and Gutekunst and all the way down the line, like this is just built into the DNA. And again, that makes it harder, I think, to defend because, first of all, I mean, the evidence would be a little easier to find, and I don't know that exists. You'd also have to prove that there's never been a period in this entire run where the Packers have been serious about special teams, have invested in special teams. I think you're going to have a really hard time proving that. You'd also have to prove that as GMs leave and go places, you'd have to look at where they went and see that there's evidence that they also followed this same path of not investing in special teams, which I think becomes extremely difficult. Because again, if we go all the way up to the top, excluding, more recent pieces, you have to go all the way up to, again, like the Ron Wolf tree. Well, that tree is massive. And so now we have to cover a ton of ground to see that, with maybe minor exceptions of people who decided this is not the way. I think it would just be extremely difficult to kind of prove that out, especially since, again, I don't think it even holds water today with our current GM, current coach, current team. Look at the special teams coordinator. Look at the pieces and the players that we have, the investment we've made. I mean, McManus had some off-the-field issues, and the Packers are willing to risk that and go outside of their norm of grabbing a guy like that just to secure a kicker. I mean, I think they've been actually extremely aggressive when it comes to special teams. They just haven't been successful in doing that. And again, if I'm the same people I'm sure that are scoffing at me saying they've been aggressive are the ones that wanted Gutekunst fired for drafting, special teamers. I'd be willing to bet. All right, Aaron, I really appreciate you, dude. Hope you're doing okay up there in Ontario, Canada. I don't know what happens up there in Ontario, or I'll be honest, I don't even know exactly where that is, but I'm not up on my Canadian geography. I know where Ottawa is. I know where Windsor is, because I've been there. I know where Quebec is, because that's way over there, and they all speak French, and for some reason that sticks in my mind. All the other ones are kind of jumbled together. Which is the one trying to, secede right now? Which one is that? Is that Ottawa? Or Ontario, I mean? I don't think so. Ontario's if you can't tell, I don't mind sounding stupid on my own podcast. Ah, there it is, Ontario. Yeah, that's not the one. Okay, yeah, so that is Windsor is a part of Ontario. Okay. Got it. Appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you calling. I especially appreciate anybody out of the country that does it. It gets me pretty excited. And I also know it can be a little complicated sometimes. I don't know if it is for you as well. Some people have mentioned that there's extra fees or whatever. So I always have extra appreciation for you guys. Hope to hear from you again soon. Why don't we take a break? When we come back, we got Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Yes, it is.
I just wanted to take a moment to address the Jonathan Gannon hire.
Okay.
I've thought about it, and it's like we really don't know what we would have had in Jim Leonard.
Correct.
But I can't help but look at Jonathan Gannon as like in the Office episode where Andy Bernard gets made the office manager, and it's just an overwhelming ho-hum hire. And
it just reminds me of that scene with Robert California where he says, Andy, do you know why I picked you? And I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's something to the effect of, I'm guessing it has something to do with your favorite ice cream flavor? Vanilla?
You know, I don't know what this guy's going to do to motivate the team. You talked about that a little bit. Maybe he's got one trick up his sleeve. Maybe it's saying if you guys get, 15 to 20 sacks in the first quarter of the season or so many turnovers, I'll let you pick a tattoo you put on my butt.
Yeah. It's another dog.
Maybe he can do that. But what he can do after that is anybody's guess. But I can think of a lot of other people that I would be a lot more excited about. And we all know that we wanted someone like Dwight who would accidentally fire a gun off in the office. I think Jim Leonard would be that kind of loose cannon. So, oh well. We can always wait to see what happens next. Maybe down the road that does happen. We'll see.
Well, I have certainly, as you could probably tell, warmed up to Gannon quite a bit. Several things have come to mind. First of all, it just occurred to me, I don't think I ever mentioned what I was supposed to talk about on tomorrow's podcast, which is our new linebackers coach. I spent a decent amount. Sometimes I spend so much time in, either research or whatever the case may be that I feel like I've talked about it, and it dawned on me I didn't. So I never brought it up. The reason it reminded me, by the way, is because if you look at this guy, look at our new linebackers coach. What is his name? Not even sure how to pronounce it. Sam Seifkis. And some of the pictures are, they don't do it justice. If you just Google it, the first thing that's popping up right now does decent justice. I went and actually looked at him on YouTube because I wanted to hear him speak or whatever. Oh, I laughed out loud when I saw it because my immediate thought was the Packers have heard us all say we need like this gruff, mean, rah-rah guy, and they are deliberately trolling us by getting the exact opposite. This guy is like your accountant's accountant. It's hilarious because I was going to post it on social media, and I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to be a coward about it. Some people are going to get all upset and sensitive about this kind of stuff, so I'm just not going to do it. But I'm telling you, my thought when I looked at him was that he is a cross. I mean, in terms of the tone of his voice, I mean, you listen to his press conference, he's talking down here, and he's, really sensitive, but he's also very quiet. It's like, oh my Lord. And he's like this tall, skinny, balding guy, it's like, the least imposing. He looks like he weighs about 105 pounds. And my initial thought was, this is exactly what would happen if you mixed Gabe and Toby. If you mix Gabe and Toby, and I did this, I went on ChatGPT and I took a picture of Gabe and a picture of Toby and I mixed them together, and I'm telling you, it is the spitting image of our linebackers coach. I might just post it with no comment so that you guys can go see it and understand, and everyone else will be like, what is this? And not have to worry about it, and not have to worry about all the so insensitive talking about somebody's looks. Look at you. Look how you look, stupid. It's like, whatever, man. I don't care. That's not the point. So this is Gobi, Tabe. I think Gobi, like a fish. Gobi is his name. I'm going to call Sam Seifkis, our linebackers coach, his new nickname is going to be Goby. So yeah, they are going out of their way to get like the most think-tanky, intellectual coaching staff in the world. You know who else he kind of looks like? Is Nate from The Office. He looks like Nate. Take Gabe and Nate, combine their looks, and then make his personality Toby. And there you go. That's our linebackers coach. Yeah, well, I think he's probably a great coach. I'm just, I'm not trying to say too much here. I'm just saying I laughed a little bit when I went to go see like how tough this guy sounds and like how, intense he is. And I saw that and it was like, oh, dude, come on.
Hey, Mr. Wonderlick here.
What's up, dude?
Calling to talk about Jim Leonard a little.
Sure.
I'm confused why everybody's so mad that we didn't get Jim Leonard as our defensive coordinator. And we're mad that we got Gannon. We could have had Jim Leonard 2 years ago, and we passed on him. The entire NFL could have had him as a coordinator 2 years ago and passed on him, and didn't take him as a coordinator last year. As of this phone call, he's still not a defensive coordinator, to my knowledge.
It's fair.
It kind of reminds me of the draft where every year fans are complaining about how stupid a team is because this guy was clearly a first-round talent and fell into the third round. He's not
Jim Leonard is the Shedeur Sanders of coaches.
a first-round talent. He's not a defensive coordinator. And then why was Hafley a good coordinator? Or how do we know he was a good coordinator? Because he got promoted to a head coach in 2 years. Who else got promoted to head coach after being a defensive coordinator in 2 years? I think that's a good way to tell that he's a good defensive coordinator. I just want everybody to quit being so upset that we passed on Jim Leonard after the entire NFL has passed on him multiple years over. There's something we don't know, and I want people to realize it. All right, thanks. Go back home.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. I will say the only thing as far as Hafley, and I think people are impressed with him as a defensive mind for sure. But I think a big part of that is his, what people think of him as a head coach. It's his teaching ability, it's his communication and all that kind of stuff. I think people think he's going to be a very, very good head coach. Not to say that people don't respect him as a defensive guy, but just to, I guess, kind of devil's advocate that a little bit. That would be maybe the one pushback on that, but no, that is a good point with Jim Leonard. It will be actually interesting to see. I mean, I think he will, but like you said, as of right now, he does not have a job, and a lot of jobs have been filled. And it's not just the Packers. I mean, to your point, he's been passed up on all those other years and everything else. He's being passed up on this year. Look at all the teams that have filled their defensive coordinator spots, and not one of them has taken Jim Leonard. Every single one of them could have taken Jim Leonard, and they didn't. So, he is quickly turning into the Shedeur Sanders of coaches. So, fair point. We'll see. Again, we'll see how all this pans out. I had made the point. We'll see. We'll see what happens between Jim Leonard and Gannon, and we'll see how it goes. Well, we may not. He has to get hired first for that to be a thing. Appreciate it. Good hearing from you, Mr. Wonderlick. TJ, what's
Hey, Ryan,
up?
TJ from Alabama. I'm starting to warm up to the Gannon thing.
Yeah.
Initially, I got some, Joe Barry vibes out of it. But as more information comes out, more detail comes out, he's not Joe Barry. I mean, Joe Barry was a failure at 3 different places, was never really any good. We hired him late. Leonard, whatever happened to that, Leonard turns us down. We never offered him. But the gist of it was Joe Barry was not our first choice. So comparing Gannon to Barry, I think is wholly unfair, and I was doing a little bit of that, and I've definitely come back off of that ledge. It seems like the reports from the players in Philadelphia and, some of the fan stuff in Arizona, it's I'm warming up to it, and I like Bobby Babich coming in. I like kind of the overqualified thing that you mentioned before seems to fill out. I'd like the linebackers coach to come in. I'm warming up to it. Other topic is, the NFL, of course, exists just for my personal entertainment. And I'm kind of liking the shape of next year already. We got Big Mike in Pittsburgh.
Heck yeah, dude.
Hopefully Aaron comes back because that's just interesting to me. So I like that. I like Halfley.
Yeah.
So, having him in Miami, I mean, I'm by far Packer fan. I will hope we kill Miami, blah, blah, blah. But, having Halfley and John Eric in Miami and Green Bay South, that's kind of fun and interesting.
Sure.
Jim Leonard, I mean, obviously, as of right this moment, doesn't have a job yet. So while he may be a hot candidate, he's not the obvious no-brainer, everybody wants him and we passed him. I mean, that's really not the narrative, so that's not the story. So I like the way the NFL is shaping up. We haven't even played this year's Super Bowl, but I'm already starting to get a little wrapped up for next year and the draft and all this other stuff. So I'm liking where that's heading.
Yep.
And the NFC North probably is, I hate the other teams about as much as I have. I've always hated some teams. It was Chicago for back in the day, and then I hated Minnesota more, and more recently Detroit. But right now I kind of hate everybody.
Yeah.
Hate Caleb, hate Detroit's smug attitude, hate Minnesota. So I'm liking where we are, and I'm on board. Let's get it out. All right, go back, go.
Right at 3 minutes on the frickin' dot. All we need, here's what we need. Because I'm with you. I think the hatred for the rest of the NFC North is about as high as it's been. We need, because Kwesi was fired, the GM for the Vikings, he needs to come in here and be this big mouth jagoff that runs his mouth about, we're going to beat the Packers. Not that he would, I doubt that the Packers would be the main focus. But still, he needs to run his mouth about how we're going to beat everybody. We're going to be the top of the NFC. We're going to be better than the Packers. We're going to do all this stuff. I just need him to come run his mouth. I need him to come in and say stuff that makes me just think, I hate him. I hate this team, because it feels good to hate these guys. I don't like that I'm always sitting here going, I kind of respect the Vikings. I kind of like their fan base. It's so stupid. It's true, and that's why I say it, but it's so stupid. It's so much more gratifying to talk about the Bears. And as much as it I don't like, I mean, it's kind of obvious what I'm saying, but I like them less, the Lions, but I like that I like them less. I like that they're not, I like that I freaking hate them. It's weird because it's like, I feel like if I could pick, they would just go back to being this useless, meaningless, stupid franchise that nobody cares about. That would be my wish. But boy, is it fun to just get super ticked off and just, it feels good to hate. I'll just say it. It feels good to hate. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. All right, we'll take our final break, and we got Uncle Rico on the other side.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
What's up, dude?
I don't know when it is. I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, it's late Wednesday night, the 28th, maybe. I just got done listening to Chris's 4 calls, and Chris, I feel you, brother. I know after the game, I was like, we got to get rid of LaFleur. I was like, I'd be okay if he were fired, and I'd be okay if he came back as well, and I'm okay that he's back. But I feel all the stuff he said, like I'm okay with making the playoffs every year and having a winning record every year, and we're going to look forward to that too. I don't know how long his contract is. I guess I didn't see that, but quite a while, I think. And yeah, I got the Samuel L. Jackson vibe as well. But Chris, you said that nobody has an answer. If we fire LaFleur, who we replace him with? I have the answer. Chris from Alabama. He'd make a hell of a coach. Go, Coach Chris. All right, then. Go back, go. Rico out.
Well, we don't have a Packernet After Dark Hall of Fame, but I think whenever that happens, we have our first ballot here. I don't think we've ever had so many calls to just talk about how awesome a call was. Ryan, R-Less, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Ryan? It's R-Less. Not any Packers talk right now, but wanted to just touch on this Bill Belichick thing, man, and how he didn't get a first ballot. I just think that's crazy. And I've heard the argument that, Shula, had a better season, wasn't accused of cheating, and, he had to wait 5 years to get in. I heard the argument that Bill Belichick's a cheater, and I just think it's all nonsense, man. You can't tell me Bill Belichick cheated every one of those 8 Super Bowls that he has under his belt.
That's the other thing. First of all, didn't the NFL do investigations into Deflategate and determine that it wasn't a thing? So how are we going to use that against him? I don't know. The other one, I think they actually did get in trouble for, the Spygate thing. Fine. But how many Super Bowls did he win? Come on now. We're just being petty.
Right. And I don't know, if some of these people have played sports. Clearly I've never played professionally, but I played sports, and I can tell you at every level, there's cheating, right? It may not be steroids, or things as blatant as that, but there's cheating.
You're not trying.
Right. People steal signs. People send spies to see what other teams are doing. I mean, if you ask me, man, it's part of the game. In the Marine Corps, we say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't winning. Or no, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, it's something we say, right? There's limits, right? You go juicing, you're going to get in trouble. You go doing grossly, just things that are just gross and, just highly unacceptable. Then obviously, you're crossing the line. But, whatever, man. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches that the game of football has ever seen. And people can make the argument that Tom Brady made him or whatever, but my stance is they were just a good combination, right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady said himself he was a young, talented quarterback, and he could not have done what he did if it was not for the mentorship that Bill Belichick provided him. And I think that says a lot. I mean, I can see Jordan Love saying that in the future, if he goes to win 1, 2, 3 Super Bowls, I can definitely see him, saying he could not have done it without Matt LaFleur. Even if they part ways and Matt LaFleur isn't as successful and Jordan Love is, it doesn't take away from the fact that, that coach mentored that quarterback. Together, they were a combination of force to be reckoned with, and that's how I view Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And I don't know, man. It just upsets me because I feel like people are just letting their emotions and their feelings and their pettiness get in the way of just doing the right thing. But yeah, them is my thoughts, bro. What you think?
Yeah, and we can't go back and relitigate the Tom Brady thing because how many great coaches have had great quarterbacks? Are we going to start ripping them back out of the Hall of Fame or vice versa? How many great quarterbacks had great coaches? That's just not how that works. You look at the credentials, you look at what they've done, you look at what they accomplished. Obviously, this is a team sport. A large portion of it is the quarterback, but to think that they could have done it with any coach is absurd. So, we're over here trying to set a new standard, and we're doing it with, one of the guys that actually deserves the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of guys that are, we have these conversations about like Eli. Should Eli be in? It's like, dude, we're scrapping the bottom of the barrel here if we're talking Eli Manning. We're not doing that in this case. In fact, we're talking the greatest ever. ever. This isn't just like a great coach. You know, like we talked about Sean Payton with his scandal or whatever. If it had happened to Sean Payton, I probably shouldn't do that, but, whatever. It's freaking Sean Payton. He can get in, he can not get in. I could care less. This is the greatest of all time. If the first ballot had a first ballot, he should be on it. If the Hall of Fame had a Hall of Fame, he'd be in it. If the Hall of Fame had a Hall of Fame of Hall of Fames where only one coach and one quarterback and one running back and whatever was it, he would be in that Hall of Fame. So, yeah, I don't really buy it. And if it's that serious that it's like, no, this is real and he's a cheater and all this stuff, okay, then let's talk about not putting him in, period. How about that conversation? Are you willing to have that conversation? If not, then just knock it off. This petty, like, we're going to hold him out a year. Come on, bro. You're being so stupid. And again, you're wielding the Hall of Fame like it's some catty school, middle school girl, little nonsense. That's how you want to treat the Hall of Fame? Cool. Real cool.
Yeah, man, I just want to say ESPN radio, when they, at the Wisconsin one, when they talk about the Packers or, their, hot-button issues as the things that really get them going, it just drives me crazy. I made the point that Elliot Wolf, John Schneider, John Dorsey, all these guys are all Packers guys, right, that learned how to do all this stuff, but, let's not, the whole John Schneider thing, everybody was like, would you rather have John Schneider? It's I don't know. I don't think so. The reason why
sick of the John Schneider
is,
thing.
He's not as consistent as some, I don't think he's as consistent as Goody. We've seen years where, they've completely flopped. They had, for a decade, they had no offensive line.
Correct.
Right? Goody,
still don't, as far as I know.
A B-level line this entire time, except for this 1 year we've had. But every year we're in the playoffs and we have some level of consistency. And these guys, they disappeared for a good while. Right. Yeah, they had when they good, but I don't think they've had the same level of consistency as the Packers. The Packers never had a top 10 pick. These guys, we've had one, top 15 pick in, the last, 7 years. And then before that, it was one, down year from McCarthy and then a collarbone year from Rodgers. But it's you have to have the quarterback get hurt. And yes, we've had the quarterback, but, Goody hasn't hit the top, Devin Witherspoon, or he hasn't had, I don't know who else you want to throw out there. They traded for Leonard Williams. That's great, right? That's the trade. But, just the year-to-year consistency of getting, guys that, having half of your draft class or more stick around, this guy's not doing that, right? I know there's a lot of Goody haters out there because he hasn't hit a couple high-end things, but, when has he ever picked in the top? Look, the Bears look, we're so good. You guys have been picking in the top 10 for 4 years.
Yeah, just on the Bears thing before I go off on the Schneider thing. Tell me your favorite 5 draft picks from Ryan Poles outside of the top 20. Ready, go. It's their wide receiver that they have this year and who? That's one. Can you name 4 more? Because I can't.
What are you talking about? The Lions? Look at us. Look at all our all-pros. Penny Sewell, top 3 pick, or top 5 pick, whatever he was, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he was number 9 overall. You look at all their guys, yes, you hit Amon-Ra St. Brown, and yeah, there's a lot of luck in it. Some guys had that guy as a high pick, but your core is high picks. You got the first overall pick for quarterback because the Rams didn't like him. It's what are you talking about? You guys picked high. It drives me crazy. Goody's
3 minutes got him, but let me just try to do this Schneider thing quick. The Schneider thing is so stupid to me. First of all, here's what the Schneider thing is. People are talking about Schneider that don't know anything about Schneider. They don't know what he's done. all they're doing is they're trying to use this as a weapon against Gutekunst. It's anti-Gutekunst people who want to make this kind of like Schneider is sort of like the anti-Gutekunst or something. I don't know why. Anytime he's brought up, it's by Gutekunst haters who want to point out how much better Schneider is. And it's such a weird thing. And the funny thing about it is that Schneider has been a terrible GM. He's been terrible. And they had a resurgence because they went out and got a quarterback. And that's basically the thing, right? It was like 2 draft picks that hit, Jackson Smith and Jigba and some other dude. And that was like in 1 year. So they had like one really solid, and not even really solid. It was like 2 picks that panned out. But one really solid year, and then they went out and got Darnold, and Darnold is good. By the way, the success follows Schneider significantly less than it follows the fact that they just hired this new head coach. Does anybody want to bring that up? Hello? Maybe the coach that they just hired that brought them to the Super Bowl has something to do with it. But here's the bottom line with the Schneider thing. The reason I don't want to hear it. There isn't a single Gutekunst hater that wants to talk about Schneider that wouldn't have been screaming fire Schneider 10 years ago. All right? 7 years ago, whatever. None of them would have allowed Schneider to even be on the team. In fact, if the Schneider thing teaches anything, it's patience. The Schneider thing isn't an anti-Gutekunst thing. It basically says you're allowed to have 5, 6, 7 horrendous years as a GM. We're going to stick with you because we believe in you, and then you go on to have success. So in no way does this even point against Brian Gutekunst, even if you're saying he's terrible. Fine, so was Schneider for 7, 8 years. And by the way, even this last draft class doesn't appear to be very good. And again, this is the thing. Schneider people don't even know anything about Schneider. Can you tell me who he drafted this year? Who are his draft picks and how are they doing? You don't even know. Outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba, can you name 3 people he's drafted in the last decade? I bet you can't. So don't sit here and tell me about Schneider and what a great GM well, they're in the Super Bowl. They've been to the Super Bowl many times. Yes, they went to the Super Bowl the first time because when he was first a GM, they were dominant. Okay? He did a very good job. Then he did a very bad job. And he continued to do a bad job. Then he had like 1 or 2 good draft classes, hired a good coach, went back to drafting poorly again, and they're in the Super Bowl. Is that the formula you're looking for? The reality is the anti-Gutekunst people don't have a formula. Their formula is whatever gets me into the Super Bowl. I would be happy to hire a bad GM if he's able to accidentally get me into the Super Bowl for a year. That's essentially the message. Part 2 from Daniel from California.
Round it out. Goody, he's had probably like one like really bad class, and then he had a couple of like below average, but a lot of those guys were on our team for a good while. Well,
and that's the other thing. That the grading is on such a steep curve for Brian Gutekunst, like an inverted curve. He gets judged way more harshly than anybody else does. Certainly than Schneider does. Green Bay Packer fans look at everybody he's drafted and they say, oh, it's a miss, that's a miss, that's a miss, that's a miss, because they're not dominant. Okay, based on that, do you know how many GMs passed your test? 0, and definitely not Schneider. Definitely not Schneider. If Gutekunst's picks are all busts because they're not like elite players, nobody is a good GM. There's never been a good GM, not for any extended period of time. Not in Green Bay Packers history. Certainly not Ted Thompson. What did Ted Thompson ever do? Well, he got Rodgers. Okay, well, Gutekunst got Love. Well, he got Clay. Okay. Anything else? Raji had a couple good years. Clay, by the way, only had like 3-4 good years, like really good years. The idea that Clay Matthews was like this decade-long elite player, BJ Raji had a couple good years. I mean, if we're going to sit here and super massively nitpick, then let's super massively nitpick. If we're going to have a consistent standard, there's only 2 options here. Number 1, there has never been a good GM in the history of the NFL. Number 2, Gutekunst is not that bad. Or number 3, the only metric is Super Bowls, and I'm an idiot. Those are the only 3 options.
Like, there's been classes, I was looking at those classes where these guys for Schneider, it's like they're not even...
No, it was like a 6-year drought.
Really. And he has the 3 classes to start the Legion of Boom. That all 3 classes were good.
Yep.
And then he sucked for a long time. And then he had a couple where he like, okay, we hit it. Then he sucked for a while.
Yep.
And then the last 3 classes with a fresh vision from what I want in Mike McDonald. This is what I want. Yeah. The last 2, he built a juggernaut.
Well, not even this year. Like Gray Zabel. Gray Zabel's not good. He might become good, but I mean, again, if Green Bay Packers fans, do you know what they would be doing right now to Brian Gutekunst if he had drafted Gray Zabel? They'd be furious. This guy's a bust. He's a loser. Another first-round bust from Brian Gutekunst, Gray Zabel. What a loser. That's what we'd be hearing.
And yes, he's gotten an elite defensive coach that's just different than anything we've seen, even though it's all the same scheme, but the way he coaches it, it's setting them up for success because people don't know how to deal with it. But it's not like he's doing it every year. That's my point. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, it's the Schneider thing is so stupid, but it is Gutekunst haters who have been sitting on this thing forever. And now that Schneider has found success, it's like, see, I told you. I saw somebody was arguing. He went and pulled up tweets from like a year ago when I said Schneider wasn't a good GM. And he went and found this argument because apparently he's been holding a grudge for that long and went in just on a scathing, swearing tirade about the whole thing. And I was like, okay, dude, tell you what. Let's give Gutekunst 10 years. And then when he's good and when we win a Super Bowl, I'll come back here and say you're an idiot for saying Gutekunst was bad, since that seems to be your standard. I mean, what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter that he was bad for a very, 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 very... Do you understand how much of a laughingstock he was? You obviously don't. You don't seem to remember. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you weren't paying attention. I had an NFL Draft YouTube channel, so I did NFL Draft stuff all the time, very much as far as like what the team tendencies are and all this kind of stuff. He was a laughingstock. He made some of the... He was the guy that made the picks that everybody just started giggling. Like, dude, what are you doing? When he drafted Rashad Penny at 27, a running back, which, by the way, stupid to begin with to take a running back in the first round. But when you do, I've said before, it's like cheating because they always end up being good. Rashad Penny, not good. What a terrible pick. The next year, L.J. Collier, bad. And then the next year, Jordan Brooks. That was another one. People were like, Jordan frickin' what? In the first round, you're taking Jordan Brooks? What a weird pick. Take a wild guess if Jordan Brooks is a good football player. Nope. The next year in 2021, he had 3 picks. That is, first of all, complete negligence, mismanagement. What a horrible thing. Do you know what the main reason was that they only had 3 picks? Because of a blockbuster trade for Jamal Adams. Do you understand how much of a flop that was? He gave up 2 first-round picks. This is like us acquiring Xavier McKinney. Imagine if we spent 2 first-round picks to go get Xavier McKinney, and then he sucked. In addition to those 2 first-round picks, they also gave up their 3rd-round pick. So they only had a 2nd-round pick and then a 4th-round pick. And with their 2nd-round pick, they picked a wide receiver. Do you know who? There's a guy by the name of Dwayne Eskridge. Do you remember that name? You would have to remember it from the draft because his name hasn't been said since. Western Michigan wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge. Nobody heard of that guy for 1 second after that. They had 3 picks in 2021 after having 4 straight terrible drafts. In 2017, 18, 19, and 20, they trade away all their picks for a safety that's garbage, have 3 picks, and waste all of them. Then they go back to another bad year of drafting in 2022. Then 2023 is when they get Witherspoon at pick 5. Whoop-de-frickin-do. You have the 5th pick. I'm not impressed by that. And then they get Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's a good pick, but still a first-round pick. After that, they get Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Anthony Bradford, Cameron Young, Mike Morris, Olusegun Oluwatimi, Jarek Reed, and Kenny McIntosh. Any of those guys good? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know much about them. Charbonnet, I hear a little bit about. I don't know much about him. The rest of the guys couldn't tell you. So yes, they had 2 first-round picks, and both of them ended up being good picks. One of them a top 5 freaking pick. Then the next year in the first round, they drafted Byron Murphy at pick 16. He's They had no second-round pick. Way to go, GM. Then in the third round, they picked an offensive lineman, Christian Haynes. He is not a starter. And then they drafted Trice Knight, A.J. Barner, Nehemiah Pritchett, Sataoa Laumea, DJ James, and Michael Jarrell. Okay. And then this year, Gray Zabel, who is their starting left guard, that again has a 59 run blocking grade, 60 pass blocking grade, so Nick Emanwari, who is good, but I think completely overrated as being some kind of elite dominant safety. They got Elijah Arroyo, also in the second round. He is their 4th lowest graded receiver on the team with a 52 receiving grade, 179 yards he produced this year. Quarterback Jalen Milroe. I mean, do you understand? Like that, you can go back 2025, 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. 10 years ago was the class that set him up forever. Frank Clark, Tyler Lockett, that group. And then was that the only year? I thought there was another one. I don't know. 9 years of drafting. Almost every single year has been complete and utter dog crap, with a couple decent contributors mixed in, but it continues to get worse and worse as the years go on. Then in 2023, he had 2 hits, both in the first round. 2024 was not great. 2025 is Nick Emanwari, and that's about it. What in the hell do you want me to praise this guy for? Well, he made it to the Super Bowl. Yeah, why? Because they got a new coach, and they went out and bought a quarterback. That's why. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, again, 1 pick, and their defense is dominant because they went out and got a coach that is a very good defensive coach. That's why. Has nothing. I mean, if you're fine with that, and it's like, I don't really care if my GM sucks and can't draft, I just need him to get lucky. Fine, make that argument. But the guy is dog crap when it comes to drafting. Okay? Horrific. All right, I'm out of here. You all have a good rest of your night. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.